This is the part where I should start singing Sam Cooke. It's been a long time coming, right?
Yeah, for the one time I'll take you singing.
Right.
One time. It's one time.
You don't want me singing.
Oh, I miss you, Marcus. Oh, I miss you. Oh my God. What's
Tim
happening?
Kawakami, Marcus Thompson, you have been patient. You have been waiting, and we appreciate it.
How many months now? A couple months at least.
At least been a couple months. Look, we have not been lazy. It's just that we both had major life changes recently.
True.
We are no longer where we used to be, and we are at a new place.
The Athletic, Bay Area, by the way. That's the place.
Where can you find that?
That's the place. TheAthletic.com.
/ Bay Area.
/ Bay Area. Look up my name or Marcus' name. We are the two guys kind of running this thing. So Jimmy Durkin also there. So our thing, this is our podcast. We moved on over. Warriors Plus Minus, hosted by The Athletic. This is the new thing.
That sounds
new
weird.
world.
That sounds weird.
Warriors
Warriors Plus Minus, hosted by The Athletic. Anyway, we're
Get
back.
used to the new world, Marcus.
We are back. Again, we apologize for the wait, but we've been working. We've been starting a company, and now we're ready to go.
It's our company. Starting a website. The company's already there.
Yeah, we started a Bay Area wing of our company.
Yeah, it's okay.
So we're ready to go.
There's some things happening.
There's some things.
The Warriors.
There's a lot happening.
Never sleep. The Warriors never sleep.
There's a lot happening. We have a golden opportunity to really talk about some good things with the Warriors.
Golden opportunity.
Yeah, you peeped that?
Yeah.
I'm getting it in to copy it. You don't even know.
I read right over it. I'm reading I'm just so often. It's in there like, oh,
you don't even know. That's part of the thing. You got to figure out where am I dropping the mention. So let's start with Kevin Durant.
I use Twitter to engage with the fans. I think it's a great way to engage with, basketball fans. But I happen to take it a little too far. And that's what happens sometimes when I get into these basketball debates or, what I really love is just to play basketball. I went a little too far. And I don't regret clapping back at anybody or talking to my fans on Twitter. I do regret using my former coach's name and that former organization that I played for. That was childish. That was idiotic. All those type of words. I regret doing that, and I apologize to him for doing that.
I'm just gonna say there's a popular HBO show called Insecure, and I think they need to have Kevin Durant as a guest. Right?
For an NBA superstar.
For an NBA superstar, It
for a normal
me.
human, this is like
for a normal,
regular
he's
stuff.
normal, yeah. But for an NBA superstar, the part that threw me for a loop, like he came out with the shoes and he's got the slights at the bottom, and it's like, all right, that's kind of clever. Like graphically, it's cool to have something at the bottom of your shoes, but it's just like, why? Like you already won. Like you got the respect that you deserved. You got people off of the whole storyline of you shouldn't have left Oklahoma City. Obviously, there are some people who are still bitter about it, but it was like, hey, he proved himself right, and since then, like it's just coming out that like, hey, he's not over this.
No.
He's not over this, and now with the tweets and the secret accounts and Choir Sultan. I'm mostly thinking like, geez, like this is really bothering
Is that
you.
the ghost account?
Choir Sultan.
That is okay. I wasn't
somebody
sure.
somebody was doing some investigative reporting.
Wow, I like it. I like it.
Found it, but it's just like Kevin Durant he's elite.
Yep.
He might be the best player in the NBA. Many are saying so. So isn't it shocking?
NBA Finals MVP.
Isn't it shocking that he's doing this?
I guess so, but it's the extent of it. Yes. But you and I have gotten to know him a little bit. He's a gossip, He likes talking about things. He pulls you over and wants to hear about the 49ers. Gee, maybe he might have pulled me over and done that. He likes to hear about the latest buzz. He wants to talk about this podcast.
He wants to hear what people are saying.
It's why he goes on the Bill Simmons show. It's like he likes being part of that kind of communication. And a lot of it's great for us. It's an NBA superstar who's accessible in a lot of ways, who wants to hear what you're saying, who will stop and ask you about the T-shirt where'd you get that? He did that to me, John Coltrane, by the way. It's just he pays attention way more than like even Steph. Way more. Steph is paying attention way more than most, but he'll walk past certain things because he's focused. He's on his thing, as he should be. Kevin doesn't walk past stuff. He'll stop. He'll turn. He'll want to talk. There's just you can call it rabbit ears, you can call it insecure. I look at it another way. I just think he's like always aware of stuff, and it's just part of who he is. I wrote this today that it's part of what made him so perfect for the Warriors. It's like Steph's the lead dog, but in a quiet way, diplomatic, graceful. Draymond's the dog. He's the barking guy who's kind of the emotional leader who's bonded with Steph. Clay's a diffident one, off in the in the clouds, but jumps in there. Andre's got his own role. Durant, if he came in here, I'm the man. I don't care what you think. He wouldn't have worked here. And if Durant was a guy who was like a different, like a jokester, probably wouldn't have worked here. The way he is as a superstar who's also so aware of what other people are saying, it kind of works. Now there's these other weird things he goes off on.
It's the weird manifestations.
Yeah. But that's all part of who he is. Yeah. Like he couldn't be, empathetic is maybe not the right word, but he's trying to look at what's Steph saying and why does he he's like that. Like I don't think Steph always does that. Steph's going to do what he's going to do. He cares about his friends, but he's not like Durant's like looking around. He's like, well, what's that guy doing? And it's not in a wholly nervous way because he's great and he knows he's great, but he just wants to know what the room's feeling. And when you're him, the room is 2 billion people.
The room is huge.
It's a gigantic room. Now he should close that off. But you think he's got a guy with all these people.
He just doesn't respond. I think he just should stop responding. He shouldn't be going on Twitter going at people. But I actually think this is good, and I actually think it's refreshing because what Kevin Durant is doing is letting us know who he is.
Yep.
And with so many of these players, especially at his level, you just don't know who they are. And you see the public perception of them and how their image is crafted, and then you hear how they are behind the scenes, and they just don't match.
Yep.
But everybody's on this whole I'm gonna be real, we 100. Like, this is Kevin Durant.
Yep.
This is who he is, and I respect that and appreciate that. Like, it's refreshing to see a guy who, like, you know what? It bothers me when people rip me, and I'm gonna say something about it, and that's who he is, and he's not hiding from that. It's refreshing that he's just like me.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just like you.
A little bit like me.
Except he needs to just block the people,
I know.
right?
Come on, I can teach him a little.
Just block them. Don't respond. Don't get into wars with them. Just block them. But I think you're right. I do think it helps this work. I think it keeps him sensitive to how, if he cares about what some random guy on Twitter says, he definitely cares about what his teammates say.
Absolutely.
And that's how they keep the chemistry going, because if Durant is upset, or if Draymond is upset at Durant, he hears it and he knows it, and he at least wants to deal with it. And part of it is he probably doesn't know how to deal with trolls, and he's got his way of handling it, but he wants to deal with it, and he wants to have some kind of resolution. So if this is true with, Joe Blue on Instagram, then if Steph comes to him, which Steph has come to him about this shoe stuff, it's like, look, dude, Durant's going to be open and receptive to it because he hears what you're saying. I think, especially coming off of LeBron, right, who's like this real kind of crafted image, and Steph is the really good dude whose image is also crafted. It's interesting that even Westbrook's image is crafted, right? Yeah. It's like I find it refreshing that Kevin Durant is like a different dude.
I agree.
He's just like a different dude. Now, Kevin,
for an NBA superstar.
Yeah, for an NBA superstar. Like, we're talking upper echelon.
We're talking
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
No question. All of these dudes have their own, like, idiosyncrasies or whatever. But Kevin Durant, from the mode of going into the Hall of Fame, in the conversation for some of the best of all time, to be in that elite realm, he's a different dude in that realm.
Oh, yeah.
And that, like, he feels it and he cares. He just got to stop going at people on Twitter.
That is all true. That's all true. But I'll put it this way. You and I have, gotten to know him a little bit, and none of this surprises me. Does any of it surprise? And again, it's not right. I mean, he shouldn't have done it. But when I saw it, of course, this is. We've had private conversations with him. I'm not going to say what he said in his private conversations, but this does not surprise me that he would pop off in this way and think it through and think through the league. I mean, I've gone through conversations with him, and you just, if the tape recorder was rolling, it would have made a lot of news. If the tape recorder wasn't rolling, that's okay. I mean, I'm going to keep it private, but. If you quoted me, I'd make a lot of news too. You know that, Marcus. When I'm off the record, it's really, really unbelievable stuff. But It's who he is. It's not like he's like conjuring this stuff. It's
That's
not like
the best part to me. Yep.
It's really like his natural thing. Oh yeah, how about the time I won MVP, Finals MVP? How about that? It's just like going back and forth on the court. And I will compare it to Westbrook. You think Westbrook's maybe he's looking at the Twitter. I don't know, but he's not going to ever do that. He's never going to let you feel that.
No.
He's never going to say this. You got a piece of me. You got a piece. Never. He does not like that on the court. He's not like that on social media. His commercials are all off to this. He's a distant figure. He's way off over there, not above everybody, but to the side of everybody, even other NBA players. And so, one, I think that must have been a really interesting relationship with those two.
Oh man, can you imagine?
I mean, with Westbrook giving up all these indirect, weird, different kind of things, passive aggressive, and Durant's this empathetic, and you're part of me, you're my guy. He's yelling at Mark Cuban for saying that Westbrook's
is that like really how it went down all these years, where Durant's trying to be close to this guy, and he's trying, and Westbrook's like, man,
and he didn't know. He just didn't know, even to the end. He didn't know. He's like, do I call him to say I'm going? It's just this. It really paints a picture of those two. And the other part about it is it just tells you that and Durant even said it yesterday at TechCrunch. He's not going to give up tweeting. He's not. He kind of likes it.
No, yeah.
He kind of likes this. Like he likes that he's connected to fans in some direct way that he might screw up on, and I'm sure he didn't like doing that. But he's connected to fans in a direct way that many other people won't want to do.
And I think it's good too.
Yeah.
You know what? He might need that too. It might actually help.
He doesn't have that many people around him. Like, he's got an entourage. He's got friends. He's got Rich Kleiman, no question. But I don't know if he's got like that. 7 people around him or trying to distill everything he says into an. He does. It's like him and Rich. It's him and Rich walking around out there. Like you've done events with him. It's not like I don't think he's had.
No, there's not.
It's him and Rich.
He doesn't have like a
PR
person
has
the stable of people and the whole hedge. This also underscores to me how, and you and I talked about this before, that Kevin Durant is an evolving, growing man, right? And he's trying, the crazy part is his career is evolving and growing while he tries to find a spot. It's not like he's in this stationary plane like LeBron, where I'm at the top and I'm just gonna grow while I gotta fit into this space. His space is growing.
Yep.
Like
that's the move. That was the move here.
Yeah, his space is growing, and he's growing as well, and it's creating these situations. I feel like somebody's going to say to him, "You don't have to take it so personally when people on social media are getting at you." But I think you're right. I think he's like, that's part of he needs it. I want to feel it.
Absolutely.
I want the dialogue. There's a part of Kevin Durant. And we say Draymond has a little bit of this, that I want to be the dude walking around Target. Like I know I can't, but I want to be around the people, and this is my way to be around the people. So if we're arguing on Instagram, that's my version of walking around Target.
Durant remember during the lockout, he was going out, showing up in basketball public courts and just go. I mean,
he wants to be the superstar who's down, like feet on the ground. Type guy.
I'm just like you. I'm just like you. I mean, 6'11", he can shoot better than anybody else.
Right?
But he wants that feeling. It's important to him, and I don't think that should be something that should be run off. I mean, I like that about him. I like that, he'll laugh at a question of mine and tell me about it 3 days later.
Yes.
I mean, not a lot of other guys do this. Certainly not at his level.
No question.
And
is there one like who?
Man,
was Shaq like that?
A little bit, but it was dopier. Shaq was a whole other dopier thing. Kobe knew what you asked. He just never would let you know that he knew. He just didn't let you in like that. Durant lets people in a moderate way, no matter who you are. And he'll, even when remember that guy, he torched that guy's question at the finals, and he said, no, but I like you, and the guy's saying I don't even know if he knows me, but Durant wanted to bond him while he was ripping his question apart. It's just kind of
everybody gets a shot with Durant. You get a shot.
Yeah, he'll stand in front of you, he'll talk to you, and he respects people, that he sees and he knows, and you might not even know he knows you, but he does. He's an interesting guy. I like him. I mean, again, this is crazy stuff that he's been doing. I get a lot of it, though. I just think it's all coming from some genuine spot. There's some screwiness in there. Like you said, there's some insecure stuff about it, but there's insecure things about everybody. They just try to hide it.
Yeah,
they hide
that's
it.
The thing. They're all like this. Don't get it twisted.
Yep.
They're all like Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
He's just willing to show it, right? Yep. Or he probably wasn't that willing, which is why he had the secret accounts. But Like when he got caught, he's like, "All right, I did
Yeah.
it." But they are all like that. LeBron is like that.
No
Steph
question,
is like
no
that.
question.
They're all like that. James Harden is like that. They all walk around with this
You
insecurity.
can't be that great
That's exactly.
without that. It drives you. There's all these incredible athletes. You go, why didn't he? JaVale. I'm just comes to my mind. I'm sorry, just because he's so talented. Why doesn't he? Why isn't he one of the great centers of all time? Look at that physical ability. It's because he doesn't have that. He's just kind of bouncing around the world, and whatever happens. And yet the crazy ones are the ones that are driven. They must be better than everybody, and they're worried that they're not. They're
Which
constantly
is how,
worried.
after you win a championship, win Finals MVP, and disprove all your critics, you still like, what?
Exactly.
What'd you say?
Exactly. On Twitter. Someone didn't even know.
I'm with you. I respect that. Here's a secret thing. Here's part of it that popped out to me when seeing like the tweets that got out, the ones that were from his account, but he was speaking third person. What he was saying, and I remember saying this before, and people were like, no, it was roundly disputed that basically Kevin Durant would have stayed in Oklahoma City if the Warriors had won a title. Yeah. I don't believe that. I believe he would have left anyway,
and
no matter what.
Gone to the Warriors?
Yes, I think he would. I think he wanted out, and look what he said.
Yeah.
Look what he said. His reasons weren't, well, I had this opportunity. It was Billy Donovan. Team is, there's nobody but Russ, and I'm surprised, he didn't take shots at Russ, like since if he was really free writing, but I think.
But also, it's almost like Durant was channeling another, like he was trying to be a fan of Durant.
Yeah.
What would a fan of Durant would say?
Was it not him, and he just took the fall for whoever?
No, I think it was him. I just think he was trying to channel what a fan of Durant might say if he knew more information. It's like he was trying to say, Kawakami needs to write, can't do that because he feels
why he
this.
Wouldn't do
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So. Whether it's 100%, obviously there was a lot of stuff that he felt, but and clearly he liked Scott Brooks more than like Billy Donovan, and clearly he wasn't happy they traded James Harden. But it's also in retrospect. At the time, you go, okay, you know what, I can understand some of that. I don't know that Harden was a great player, but there just is. I think he's just thinks through things constantly and changes his mind and then changes his mind again and was super happy in Oklahoma City. And then maybe he wasn't as happy, but then he was happy and he wanted everyone to love him. He was worried about the ushers. He's worried about, and he goes like, that San Francisco Magazine, wonderful piece about him, adopting the tech world, and talked about that scene in China where after he'd signed with the Warriors, he's screaming at Rich Kleiman saying, what the bleep did you allow me to screw my life up like this by signing with the Warriors? And people are jumping all, see, he regretted it. He was going to regret anything he did. This is just what he gets up to these huge decisions. There's so much writing on it, and then he isn't sure what he's going to do, and he's going to, no matter what he does, because he's got all these great options. He doesn't have little options. He's got great options.
And he feels
terrible for this person who's there and that person over there, but I didn't like that person and this person over there. And this is just further manifestations of the things that are going on in his head. And we just happen to be able to see them because he decides to utter them. He decides to talk about them. And I give Rich Kleiman credit for this, too. Like, you would think the agent, business partner would say, clamp him down. No, you're not talking about that. We are not getting on the plane with this reporter of San Francisco Magazine. We're just going to go talk about everything. Rich adds to it. Rich has gotten Kevin in trouble on the Bill Simmons podcast. Like hey, talk about that time when James Worthy came up to you. Talk about that. Right? Come on, go ahead and say it. It's like, I give Rich credit for that. I mean, it maybe helps the brand, maybe it doesn't, but this is just part of the open kind of dialogue.
The
Durant,
genuineness.
Yeah,
right?
the Durant.
Just be genuine. Yeah.
He just wants people to say what you feel, and again, gets them in trouble, gets them in weird spots. I don't mind it. Maybe we should have reacted more to it. I just feel like, it was weird, but it's not anything that I didn't know about the guy.
I know, right? Yeah.
No.
And then he said, hey, man, my bad. Wasn't it?
On TechCrunch.
Yeah, right?
It's like for all the digital world. I did that. My bad. I feel bad about that.
Do you think he and Iguodala competes on this tech business?
Yes, I'll have to. And I think he's. You look at the list of the things that he's into. He's ahead of Andre. I think Andre is.
He's got more capital.
Way more capital. He made $150 million in his career. That's just from salaries, and we forget about what he's made from another $150 from Nike. I think Andre wants to be more involved in the decision making. Like Durant's he's just the angel investor. He wants to be involved. He wants relationships, but they bring him in. He meets everybody, and he's the big.
And if he likes it, he breaks bread.
Yeah, but he's kind of into that. He's fine with that. Andre, I think, wants to run one of these companies. He's more, he wants to. He's a tech guy. We know he's a tech guy. He wants a thought process. They're going to have to tell him why this, and this is happening. Whereas Durant's like, okay, is it going to work? Fine, let's go in with that. Durant wants to be part of the scene. I think Andre wants to be running the scene. Is the difference there? But yeah, I mean, I'm sure Durant's gotten some of those investments that Andre would.
Andre like, oh man, watch me find out this company that I just I just got in on.
Wait a minute, they call you first. They wanted to call me. Why don't you get me on that? And I don't know. I bet you there's not a company that has them both. I'll bet you there's no company that has them both.
Speaking of which, Andre Iguodala, story came out today. ESPN, Chris Haynes basically gave us the behind the scenes story.
The
TikTok. That's it. I remember that from West Wing. Was that West Wing?
It is. I just know from journalism. Yeah, they call it TikTok. It's what happened minute by minute.
Give me the TikTok. That's from a movie that's coming to me. So it spelled out how Iguodala was so close to leaving the Warriors for Houston. And I know you've been wanting to talk about this. if you're listening to this, just know I got a text message from Tim this morning.
Hey.
I'm getting my daughter ready, and he's like, yeah, we're going to talk about this.
Talking about this. We got stuff to talk about now.
We're going to talk about this.
Yeah, Durant kind of got bigger anyway, but
we're going to talk about this.
Yeah, I say, well done story. Interesting story. All, I'm sure, from Andre and everyone else, it's what, they were saying. But there's one flaw.
Was a strong but.
One little flaw in the whole thing, and I'm not blaming the writer. I'm just saying I think it was presented to him with a very flawed premise that he was going to sign and trade himself to the Houston Rockets because they couldn't pay him straight up any more than $8 million. So you know what? To get him $12 million, $14 million, he was just going to sign and trade himself to Houston to get money that was going to match what the Warriors were offering already. You can't do that. The Warriors have to be involved in the sign and trade. It's fundamentally.
You think Bob Myers knew that?
Yes. I'm still surprised they paid him as much as they did. I thought he was going to say, fine, go sign straight up for $8 million then. Fine, go. That's what I would have done. That's I joke with some of these guys, many guys, that I'm a harder ass negotiator than a lot of these guys. Like, go. So they might have been without Andre Iguodala, or they might have been with him really pissed. So I understand the negotiations take more than that. But you can't just say, here's Houston really bowled me over. Chris Paul was great. And so I'm going to sign and trade myself to Houston. You can't do that. The Warriors would have to be part of it. And why would the Warriors be part of this? Help you go to Houston. They're just going to say, go. Or you sign with the Kings for $15 million a year. Fine, go. He wasn't going to do those things. That's my issue.
It was the chip that the Warriors had. It was the play they had.
And they let him play it. Yeah. And maybe at some point they were worried. But I just don't.
I think Sacramento was the worry.
Yeah, exactly. Vivek and the whole thing.
That was the worry.
But then where's Andre's career if he's with the Sacramento Kings for the last 3 years of his career? He's not a Hall of Famer. He doesn't get back in the playoffs. He doesn't, he could have his jersey in the rafters with the Warriors. Who cares? If Mitch Richmond style in the Kings. Who cares? Does he want to be Mitch Richmond? Is that what he wants? So, again, I understand why the Warriors were a little worried about it. I understand why Iguodala's people want it out like this. I'm just saying you can't sign and trade yourself to the Houston Rockets, and that was never really explained in that story. So I apologize to the author. I apologize. I'm just saying that's a fundamental flaw in a story that otherwise, with the emotions of it, the drama of it, I'm going with it. You just say you can't sign and trade yourself to a team. You can't do it. You can't make up a number that you'll now sign for because the team did not have that money to pay him unless the Warriors agreed to a deal. And why would the Warriors do that?
I think that's what made Iguodala's negotiating so legendary. He did not have legend. No. He did not have leverage.
No.
He had none. The Warriors know San Antonio, Houston, he's gonna have to take half of what we're giving him, what we're offering him, in order to even make it happen. And San Antonio might not even want to do that, right? So they know that.
San Antonio was 5.2.
Yeah, they're like, I mean, I guess if you want to take it, but I don't know how interested they were. But that's what made it such a miraculous ride. Is that?
Yeah, you're laughing over there. We got audience now.
That's what made it so special. Is that he made leverage out of no leverage.
Yeah.
Is that the Warriors had all the action. They had they had the angles, and all he had was, hey man, I might go to Sacramento.
Yep.
Right. And that's And they not only gave him more than what they thought it, they ended up giving him more than what he asked for initially. And he like, hey, tack on 3 more, right? That's what made it so great. So it was weird. It was weird to read it and see like, oh, well, he could have done this. Like, no, he couldn't have.
Yep.
The reason it was such a great play because he didn't really have anything. And that's why, like, for me, it was one of the greatest plays I've seen.
Incredible. It was
just
incredible.
Because he made a way out of no way. And
well, the other there's 2 things with that. I'll say, Kevin Durant had given up a lot of money for Andre and Sean to get their money. So for Joe Lacob to draw a line and say, no, we're not giving you this, he's got an answer not only to Andre Iguodala, he's got an answer to Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. So that was big. And 2, he sacrificed for this team. He took a step.
He took less money.
He took less money. He became the 6th man. Without that, Steve Kerr, the season that 2014-15 season starts a lot differently if he and Kerr are at odds over this, or if he's got to start and Kerr really thinks he shouldn't start, and Harrison doesn't develop like he did. They owed him emotionally, no question. The locker room, he is a huge part of the locker room. So the 2 things: Durant giving back the money really, really put pressure on the Warriors to be able to pay some extra money to him and Sean. And 2, he meant so much. That locker room would not have been happy if Andre Iguodala is not on the team. And he was able to, correctly say, hey, I'm worth this. And I'm not going to sign with you guys unless you come up to my number or higher than my number. And if I'm going to manipulate and you're going to know I'm going to be manipulating you, so what? What are you going to do about it?
Which is why he's going to run a Silicon Valley company, right?
It was brilliant.
Yeah,
it was
right.
absolutely brilliant. He stared down Joe Lacob. And he didn't just stare him down. He lined up things. He didn't just say, you know what? Okay, dare me. No, this
like,
is
I got
and
this,
this and this and this and then, yeah, you want to do
the
it?
San Antonio play, right?
Yeah,
even if San Antonio didn't have the cap space or the real desire, it was smart just because it's like
the Warriors go, oh,
yeah, right. Like, hold on,
wait a minute,
dude, we can't lose you to San Antonio. And I don't know what kind of plan San Antonio might come up with to pull it off.
Yep.
But that's a smart play right there.
Absolutely.
It's like, yo, this dude might really end up running.
Yeah, a basketball team, a studio, a tech firm, all of them. He's smart. He's playing a lot of different levels, which is interesting because during the season he's saying, we got the numbers already, we got the deal. The whole time, we're gonna have a press conference. He's the whole time playing like it's not a big deal.
Absolutely. Like
the whole time, we got this set up. So okay, wait a minute, Andre's giving up the cards here because he wants to come back. Then he turns it around.
And on top of that, he actually lost the chip because one of his chips was the Lakers.
Yep.
And
Pelinka.
Yeah, right. And then Magic comes in, and it's like, hey, we don't. Do they want to spend money?
Yeah,
well, whatever $15 million he thought he might have had coming from Luke was gone.
Well, that's a LeBron thing, really.
No question.
Yeah, LeBron's frozen out some of these teams, and hey, what you're LeBron. You can do something like that.
So he lost the chip and still. So the word on the street is Draymond Green is in incredible shape.
Okay.
Yeah, Draymond Green's in great shape.
Wow.
I'm starting to wonder what's next. Like, do they get better or do they just like flatten out how good they are now? And I'm wondering, like, I don't know, can Steph be better, right? Can Kevin Durant be better?
Yeah. I think within the system, Kerr's a big proponent of this is going to be better than last year because last year was an adjustment season. And it took them a while.
The system, they'll be better with it.
They'll be better with the system. But also, these guys are all a year older. They've played a ton of games. There's going to be a wall somewhere. They're going to feel more tired in January.
Especially
than they normally
like the core 3 guys who've been in this.
And then, they played in the Olympics, except for Steph. Steph's got golf tournaments he's playing in. So I think mentally,
I'm still suffering from that golf tournament.
Marcus is just down for the count after that one. While we were starting at the site, by the way, that really helped me out when Marcus was out playing golf for the first week of the Athletic. But I think they're going to. I think energy-wise, they're really going to have to watch us. But then again, you don't want to have too little. You don't want to have sit guys for 30 games. So it's going to be up to Kerr, and Kerr's health obviously isn't a whole other issue. But I do think they're going to be better offensively. defensively, I think that's and that's a lot. Defense is energy. Defense is like we've seen even Draymond struggle a time or two just because the energy is not there on defense. Defense is a whole lot of rhythm and feel, and there might be some games where they're not quite there.
Yeah, they'll be waiting for the playoffs.
Yeah, it's like we lose the Timberwolves. So what? We'll get them the first round, and we've seen that. But I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be stylistically better. I think they're going to feel better. Rhythm's going to be better. They were very good last year, but they're not going to gunk up a bunch of games at the end like they did last year when they lost that 5 out of 7 or what it was when the world was coming to an end. Except for on Warriors plus minus, by the way, we were pretty calm about that one. Okay, let's just go this. All these changes, all these big players moving around, their rivals changing up the chemistry. What team do you look to and go, okay, that's one that really improved and might have a better shot, substantially better shot to beat the Warriors?
I think as a collective, you know how you say, Tiger or the field, right? Warriors or the field. I think the field got worse. Like as a collective,
they were 16-1 in playoffs last year.
I think the field got worse. Yeah. However, I do think Houston got better. I think that's a team. Not just because I know they basically got 2 stars who the Warriors have proven they can beat, right? So, just on the surface, it looks like, all right, we're not worried about them. But we haven't seen these 2 players together. And what the Warriors have shown is you put great players together, and you got to just account for their greatness. Yep. This is what LeBron and Kyrie showed, right? Yep. It's like these 2 are great, which means there's a chance they can do some great stuff.
And by the way, they didn't worry about Houston and the Clippers. Now they might have to worry about Houston at least.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like those were 2 teams they didn't worry about. Now they put the best 2 players from the team on one team. Yeah, I mean, Chris Paul gives the Warriors some issues. Yes. They don't lose to him, but he gives them some issues. He can defend.
And James Harden gives us some issues. James Harden gives some issues. Playoffs, he starts becoming a turnover machine. But typically, like Clay can't guard James Harden, so they got to switch some things up. And which one does Steph guard? I mean, that's going to be something to figure out. I just think they have 2 great players, which means that there's some possibilities there. Yep. And San Antonio, I'm not ready to say.
No, you never. Yes.
I don't believe that San Antonio is that great. I think even if Kawhi was healthy, they still would have won the series. But it's San Antonio. Yep. They will always be San Antonio. Kawhi
it's just interesting.
Is a
lot of those young players that we thought they were grooming, they're not really. They switched them out, and I don't quite.
I don't get the Jonathan Simmons thing.
I mean, he's a guy.
They watched him give the Warriors problems.
You and I are. What do we always talk about? Guys that bug the Warriors. Yeah. There's not a lot of them. He's one of them. He's one of them. And they didn't want, he played well against them in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. You watch that series, you're like, okay, who we gonna have to worry about next year? Kawhi, Jonathan Simmons.
Yep. And so that's a weird. There's some weird things going on, and they still have LaMarcus Aldridge.
Still got Gasol, right?
They brought back Gasol. Don't have David Lee anymore though, so you better watch out. But the Spurs are always the Spurs, and I've mentioned this before. I think the Thunder are interesting. I don't know that it's going to work. But you put Paul George is a guy who can play the Warriors. He can play the Warriors.
Great players.
And you put Westbrook in there, and it's a different feel to it. And
they have a piece that I don't even think they use in Steven Adams.
Yep.
I don't even think they use him.
They play him like 22 minutes a game.
I don't even. They certainly don't play him like the guy who we saw in the Western Conference Finals when Bogut couldn't play with him on the like.
Now that might have been his peak. I don't know because I know there's some Thunder fans who are very disappointed with Steven Adams, and it seems like Billy Donovan gets disappointed with him too. And
that's a quick peak because the year before he was on a
rise.
He's
like 24, 25 years old too. That's the thing. But
I think that was a Westbrook triple double happened to him. I think that's what happened to. The triple-double hunt happened to Steven Adams.
Get out of my way, Steven. But I think the Thunder's interesting, and Durant's opinions aside, I think Billy Donovan's a pretty good coach. And you just those kind of talents, like we're talking about, those kind of talents, they're going to give people trouble, and they give the Warriors, these 2 long, penetrating, 3 guys who can hit 3-point shots. Those are guys who hurt the Warriors. There's a lot of guys lesser than that who've hurt the Warriors, that style. So I think that'd be an interesting playoff series. I don't think the Warriors would lose it, but I think that's much more.
I don't think they would lose the series. I think those games, they got a few more games that were once like, ho-hum, we're going to beat this team easily. They won't beat them easily anymore. I think that's, they've got a few more of those games. We're like, all right, we got to bring it. Yep. I think another team that's going to be a problem for them, Minnesota.
No, I knew it. I knew you were going to say that.
Minnesota.
Yep. Well, there's a problem. There's been a problem
there's
last 2
now.
years.
Then they added Jimmy Butler, right?
Yep.
So and Jeff
Shabazz,
Teague.
Shabazz Muhammad.
Shabazz Muhammad owns the Warriors. I don't know why. San Antonio, why you not gonna get Shabazz Muhammad? Like, the dude owns the Warriors.
Marcus and I should be hired by some team and just say, go get these guys and don't get these guys because we see how they play against the Warriors.
Avery Bradley was available.
Oh my God! Yeah.
How does he?
Can you imagine the Spurs had Avery Bradley and Kawhi?
Right? Can you
Oh
imagine
my-
that?
oh my
Go get Avery Bradley if you want to beat the Warriors. Like, it's simple as that. Get Shabazz Muhammad
Yep.
is getting 25 off the bench. It's a guarantee against the Warriors. Go get this guy.
Yep.
I just think they have some pieces. Look, again,
Carl Anthony Towns.
very rarely does Draymond, after a game, is like, yeah, that dude.
Yep.
And, like, when he plays Carl Anthony Towns, he's like, yo, that dude is a load.
Yep.
So you throw that in the mix. They got rid of Zach LaVine, who was like, probably one of the areas where the Warriors were like, we're fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, not a problem.
Yeah, we're
Not
fine.
a problem with the Warriors.
Jimmy Butler's a little bit different. He's a
Yep.
better player. You know, I think they've got some pieces that's going to be a problem. Again, they won't beat the Warriors in a series, but those matchups now become matchups. Last year, for me, one of the issues I thought was like, how many games do they have that are like real games?
Yep, not that many.
The rest of them are, most of these games are like sleepy games where it's like, okay, we know we're going to win. I think they have more good games now.
Yep.
It probably won't matter in the playoffs, but they'll have more good games.
And the thing about Minnesota is they're young, so you can see them build towards something. They're kind of like what we thought New Orleans was going to be. You know, Anthony Davis, he's hurt all the time. Everyone gets hurt there. They blow up. Now they're just a DeMarcus Cousins.
That was just the start of something in 2015.
Yeah,
right?
it's like,
the Pelicans
and now
are
it's
going to be
like
there.
they're not even there anymore. I don't know what's going to go happen with Cousins, but Minnesota you can see them grow. I mean, Wiggins is still young, Towns is still young. Rubio, we'll see. When they traded Rubio, that's right. So who's their point guard? Jeff Teague, that's right. Rubio's at Utah.
Yeah. Utah's out the way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Utah again. They're going to win 45 games because they always win 45 games. Tough place to play, but
Snyder's a good coach.
yeah, but they don't have the firepower they used to. And Hayward was one guy who would get shots against the Warriors.
Yes,
I don't know who's going to get shots against the Warriors. I mean, Rodney
lose
Hood,
Joe?
Rodney.
Remember Joe Johnson was
Ingles.
gonna be a
Joe
problem?
Johnson. That's right. Yeah. No, I don't think so.
Joe Johnson. They got Joe Johnson.
Yeah. I don't think that one's going to be a problem. There's guys that I can say could be. Joe Ingles is better for them against the Warriors than Joe Johnson.
He didn't show up in that series.
He did
I
not.
thought he would be better in that
but
series.
he has hurt the Warriors before. He's just kind of one of those random players that bugs the Warriors. Like he shows up in random spots, the ball pops up to him, and then he hits a basket. Joe Johnson, not that guy. Rudy Gobert, good player.
Rudy Gobert's a good player. I think we had an interesting article today on the Athletic special about Nick Young and all the open shots he's going to get.
Yep.
I just gotta knock down open shots. I've never been in a situation where I could get so many open shots. I always have to create and for myself, but they're not paying attention to me. They're gonna be paying attention to them guys, and that's easy shots for me.
I do like the Nick Young signing. I think he's going to be better than Ian Clark. I know I'm not supposed to say that, right? Because everybody loves Ian Clark. I like Ian Clark.
Steph.
I like Ian Clark, but I think Nick Young will be better. Is Nick Young going to shoot 40%?
Well,
if he does,
yeah.
But he's going to get.
I love that story. I assigned that story. Todd Whitehead did a really nice job, and a lot of it just boils down to.
I think it might be too much for Nick Young.
Exactly.
Though.
Yeah,
I think it might be like.
I think
in the candy store.
Yeah, like if he just shoots open shots and cuts,
he's not going to do that.
But he's going to want the ball in his hands. Like Nick Young likes those 7 dribbles and turn around.
He's going to get a wide open shot, wait for the defender so he can do a step back with a hand in his face.
It's like that. There's some regression to who he is, but the numbers are very interesting. You just figure put him in when Ian Clark was in. Is he going to do more than Ian Clark? Oh, my God, is he going to do more than Ian Clark? It's not even going to be close. The defense is going to have to worry about him in a way that they never had to worry about Ian Clark. Ian Clark was given baskets. If they just give Nick Young baskets, it's going to be a whole other.
Yeah, it's going to be.
And then we'll open things up for Draymond or for Clay or the other people who are on with that second unit. Now he can screw up too. I mean, he's going to do stuff.
I'm telling you, it's going to be too much.
Yeah.
It's like going into the store, like man, get whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something stupid, right?
Yes.
It's just like that's going to be. Nick
So
Young.
I don't know that you can do the numbers quite like Todd did, although I appreciate that he did.
It was good.
I liked looking at him, But I just sometimes you shoot 36% from three just because you shoot 36% from three. Yeah. It's not that you can't make more. It's you just find yourself in that spot. You get yourself in that spot. You want to be moving. You don't want to just stand still. I don't know that Nick Young is going to be happy just standing in the corner. He's going to want to move somewhere, and then as he's moving, then his shot percentage is going to go down.
Unbelievable how few shots he took, like wide open, with no dribbles.
Yeah,
right. It's like if he can just stand there and hit and just lob threes all day, and shoot them at a really high clip. Oh man, that's going to be.
It's going to be game's going to be over.
Game's
going to be over.
Second quarter.
Start the second quarter.
That's game.
Yeah.
But Nick Young is not going to.
No.
He's literally going to wait for the hand to come in his face just so he can hit the shot with a hand over his face.
You can be wide open. You can take 2 dribbles in and then take 2 dribbles
back
out.
So he shoots like, nah, I want you.
And that dead leg in the air, he's going to do all that stuff. So that's a Nick Young that the NBA knows. Sometimes you are who you are. The Warriors will take some of that, and they'll take, and they want the open shot. Nick Young too.
I talked to Steve. We wrote about it in the Athletic. What are you seeing from him? What are you seeing from Steve?
You talked to him, but I really you were telling me about your conversation with him. I really do feel that he's going to be live my life, Steve Kerr. It's not going to be go test here, go to get a test here. Oh no, I'm worried about it. Oh no, this might happen. He's gonna live his life.
Can he function that way?
No, I mean again, he can't do a lot of the things, and I think he's adapting to it more. I think he's reading. I know he's reading more, which is one of his great passions, one of mine too. So we talk about it all the time. But I think gradually he's getting to do more. He's just not going to. He's determined not to allow this be his life.
Yeah.
Coaching in this. That's what it's been for 2 years. So I think he's just feeling that if I just live my life, I don't give into this thing. And we'll see. And he might get another episode like he had in the first round of playoffs, which was terrible. But I see him more. Let's go out. Let's go to Summer League. Let's go to Hawaii. I doubt he's surfing again. I doubt he's able to do those things. But just try to live my life. And always a relaxed guy. But he was fighting it. He's been fighting and fighting. He's going to continue to fight. But I think he's going to try to make this year more of a kind of a. Enjoy the moment. This is it. This is what I love to do. I love my family. I just love to talk to people.
I'm just glad that I can do this.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
physically.
and I don't want to make it like who knows how much longer he can do it, because he's not going to look at it that way. But who knows how much longer he can do it.
All right, so we are back.
There it was, babe.
We've got our Warriors plus minus back. You can stop tweeting about when it's coming back. It's coming back. And meanwhile, you need to go subscribe.
Subscribe to the Athletic. Easy to do.
Right.
Athletic.com.
Media Day starts Friday, and we are already producing the fire coverage you have known us for, so you might want to get in on this. Warriors plus minus is back. You'll hear more from us down the pipe. Absolutely. Let's go. Let's get this 2017-18 season going. You ready, TK?
I'm ready. Hey, The Athletic. Sign up for it. Subscribe.